Oh, get ready for this video because I'm digging in. I'm spilling the tea mercilessly. Hi, poopsies. It's me, Tony Bomboni, ASMR, the video you have been waiting for. Oh, you thought the toxic friend was spilling the tea. Oh, you have seen nothing yet. You've heard nothing yet. I am making this so I can release them into the universe and officially let go and move on. It's been 3 months since the breakup, so this is my way of saying thank you for the lessons. I can speak my truth and tell my story, and you won't suppress me anymore. You won't silence me. You won't tell me what to do anymore, because that's all the relationship was. So let's begin. So, of course, keeping everyone anonymous. You don't know who they are. Thank goodness for that. And again, I will remove comments with their name in it if you happen to mention their name. So you don't know who this person is. They are anonymous. And I will make it a keyword so you cannot type it in the comments. Alright. Because, of course, out of respect and for everyone's privacy, I will call them he who shall not be named. I will call them Lord Voldemort, because that's what he reminded me of. Lord Voldemort. So, and you'll find out why. Okay, I called him Wildebeest for a while, but I was like, well, Voldemort I like better. Wildebeest, that could be anyone. Okay, so this was my first ever in-person relationship. So I've had a relationship before, but it was long distance. And that was many years ago. So at 27 years old, like a year ago, I started my first ever like legit dating / relationship. Or not dating. I've dated other guy before, but like official relationship, yeah. So I'm gonna go in order because a lot happened during that 6-7 months with them. That like if I don't go in order of timeline from like November to June, I'm gonna get so lost. So yeah, here we go. So I'm gonna start with November, okay? I was on this dating app site thingy for like 3 months before I started talking with this person, and they reached out to me. I never reached out to them, okay? 95% of the time when I'm on those things, I don't really talk to people. I just kind of let things happen naturally because I've been so destroyed before from men that I'm like, you know what, whatever the universe wants to deliver me, whatever the next lesson is, you know, I'm gonna be open to that. I'm gonna be willing to, you know, listen or cooperate or whatever, okay? And so does that make sense? Like, you don't want to like push it. You don't want to like reach out to someone because then you feel like, oh, you're just asking for it or like attracting that bad situation. So out of, I guess, fear, you know, and I don't know. I was in a good place though at the time. I was really ready and it felt right. So I haven't met anyone on that app in the 3 months. I was just like talking to different guys on there and just like trying things out, you know. I took a long break, like a 2-year break before that from anyone, strictly remaining single, not dating anyone, not trying to be with anyone, and yeah, not even trying to like make friends with anyone. So after things were done with that guy that I talked about in my friend's StoryTime, he reaches out to me like a week later or so, and then you know, we connect. I liked his eyes. Oh my god, he does have beautiful eyes, but like I guess in pictures more. In person you kind of like feel who the person is more, but in picture it looked pretty and cute and like it would make your heart melt, yeah. So busy, but yeah, he was online, so kind of like me. So yeah, and just doing different things. We even like did a little like collab thingy, whatever, on another website. I won't go into that. Some people know, but yeah, that was back in like December. But yeah, kind of like entrepreneur style, like just doing multiple things, and it's kind of a free roaming spirit, like to travel a lot. I learned after him, I don't like to travel anymore. I'm a very to myself person, grounded to the earth kind of person. I don't want to be moving around. They're a Libra air sign, and I'm a Virgo earth sign. Not compatible, and I knew this, but I'm like, you know what, I never tried with a Libra, so I'm like, I want to give benefit of the doubt. Everyone always says Libras are fake, they hate Libras. Even my family was like, oh my god, Libras suck. I'm like, you know what, I've been hurt and betrayed before and burned, but like, I'm still gonna give someone a chance. I'm not gonna hold it against them because they're Libra. Yeah, I was poorly mistaken. I should have just trusted my instinct at the beginning. Like, this was a bad idea. This would be a nightmare. Okay, so moving on. So, yeah, okay. Like, even the zodiac was like, yeah, there's like a 50% chance this will work out. I'm like, oh snap, like, this is not good. That's already a bad start. When you find a new guy, you're like typing up their zodiac. That meme with Peter Griffin with red long nails, like girls typing up the zodiac of a new guy. They're meeting like a birth chart. Yeah, I was like literally doing that. Like, I do that with everyone. Okay, that's my first indicator if this is gonna work out or not, and I should have known. But again, benefit of the doubt, so let's move forward. I was so nervous to meet him, and we were already exchanging like, hot stuff, which made me confused because I was like, why are you exchanging hot videos and images with me when you just want to be friends? I'm like, okay, is this gonna be a friend with benefit? He's like, kind of, yeah. So I'm like, oh my god, I didn't want to do that, but then I was like, maybe I should try because maybe it could turn into something more. But I didn't really want something more because I even though I was like pretty much healed, after you're healed, you don't really want to get wounded again, you know what I'm saying, with your heart. So I'm like, okay, let me take this slow. Let me not just, say yes right away. I want to meet him first. So yeah, right off the bat, while messaging him a day later, I was like on the toilet. I'm just being honest, okay? TMI, okay, fine. And he was asking me what I was doing, and I literally just said what I was doing. Like, if you're not my boyfriend, you're not my like dating partner, you're just meeting me as a friend, so I'm gonna tell you the dead honest truth, even if it grosses you out. I told him I'm in the bathroom. He's like, oh, TMI, dude. I'm like, already I should have known toxic energy. I should have blocked him right there. But I'm like, you know what, let me not let this hurt my feelings or get my ego in the way, because, maybe he just really doesn't like that stuff. And yeah, I come to find out he really doesn't like that stuff. Like, he's grossed out. Even if you say like poop or something, like, he will be so grossed out. Like, he will just act like a girl. So I'm like, ugh, whatever, okay, I guess he really doesn't like that. But again, it's just like, you should, when someone shows you who they are in the beginning, pay attention, because I'll get to my point. Okay, you might not think it's a big deal, but it becomes a big deal. I'll tell you why. I'll get to my point. So I'm like, okay, so I'm taking a pause from talking to this dude. My feelings are kind of hurt because I'm like, wow, like, one of the first things he already tells me is, oh, I'm being like too much information, TMI. It's kind of rude, it's like, okay, you don't even know me like that. And I said, hey, you asked me what I was doing, I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing. Oh my god. So I'm already stressed. So a few days pass, okay, because I'm super nervous to meet him, and he keeps asking me like, when are we gonna meet? So he wants me to meet at his house, and so I'm like, oh, fine. And I finally have free time. I'm finished with my bookings, I'm finished with filming videos for this channel, vlog, whatever, and then I'm like, fine. So I jump in my car, I grab a McDonald's because I'm like starving. I'm literally starving, and I doubt he's making me dinner, okay, because it's the first time we're meeting. And I just have the worst eat and I'm in a hurry. So I was in a hurry. I have like the worst gut-wrenching feeling in my stomach to the point where I'm like in nervous tears almost. And I already know what's gonna go down, but I do it anyway because I just ignore it and I think, oh, it's just all in my head. The heart is stupid. I should go for it because this is my opportunity. He's a really attractive guy. He tells me he's successful for his age. Which I was like 27, he was 36 at the time. And I'm like, okay, you know, maybe I should just ignore this because maybe I'm just so nervous because I haven't met a guy in 2 years. That's what it is. Yeah, that's all it is. So I eventually calmed down. I ignore my gut. Stupid. And, like, part of my instincts is like, this guy is like, one of those like true crime shows, like he's gonna end up like that, like this is gonna be a bad situation, this is gonna be a Jodi Arias, Casey Anthony, like that kind of thing. Okay, immediately my gut tells me that about this person, like, yep, they're evil, they're not a good person. And I get visions in my head too, so I should always trust my vision, you know. Not saying they're actually that, but my psychic nerve don't lie, okay, when I see something, yeah. Anyway, I'll get to that soon. Yikes. So I go grab my McD's, I eat it, I get a breath mint because I'm like, girl, like I start buying like icebreakers breath mints because I'm like, now that I'm back in the game, I better get me some mints. And I took one every time before I went to his house, and I went to his house almost every day for months, like the mileage on my car. Even though it wasn't that far from me, it was like, I think 8 miles one way, 8 miles back, so it's like 16 miles to go there and back. When you do that like every day, and then you have to do other things like grocery shopping and stuff, it adds the heck up. Okay, so he done already wasted my mileage. You know, I should have been like Mariah Carey and charged him for my inconvenience, like a huge inconvenience fee, because he could afford it probably. Well, maybe not. I'll get into that soon. Okay. I told y'all I was gonna spill the tea. You just wait. It gets juicy. It's the hottest topic on this channel. Like you thought my hour and a half spill the tea story time with that. No, honey. No. You have not gotten the piping hot tea yet. All right. So, just you wait and see, boo boo. See. Yeah. So basically, I go to meet him. He opens the door like, I wouldn't say love at first sight, but he was very good looking, okay? Obviously fixed his hair before I came over. Obviously put on a cologne or two. Obviously put on like a designer shirt, whatever, okay? And then, like, I remember every detail. Like, he thinks I'm stupid. I remember everything. So I'll get to that. I just play stupid, like Paris Hilton. Yeah. Girl, I even remember the day, the time. Anyway, so it was 5:30 p.m. It was November 20. Okay, I'm joking. I'm not gonna. Oh, no, I think it was like. Okay, I think it was the 17th. But anyway, I don't know. It was a week and a half before Thanksgiving. I digress. So it was getting dark, and I was in a hurry to get there before it gets dark because I don't see good in the dark. I'm kind of like blind in the dark. Like if you turn off all the lights in this room and it was nighttime outside, I wouldn't see crap. A fun fact about me, but I kind of damaged my eyes. I used to use my phone a lot without blue light lenses in the dark, and that fried them. And I used to see like lightning flashes on my peripheral vision, and then eventually that went away, thank goodness. But you can't get that back. Once you damage them, you can't get it back. So yeah, I used to be able to adjust in the dark, and they don't really adjust anymore. So I try to avoid nighttime driving. I can drive in the night because there's a lot of lights around, obviously, so I can still see. But like there are some shady roads where there's no light and you can't see crap, and if your headlights go down, like I'm screwed. So I try to avoid it, just to stay in like, you know, those busy streets and stuff. So there's always light. But like if there's a blackout or power out, yeah, it's kind of not funny. I would just have to park my car and just wait until they go back on or something. But you know, I always knew I had old person eyes. But anyway, let's continue. So you know, I wanted to get there before it was dark, and And so I pretty much made it there. Oh, he opened the door. I thought he was like the most attractive person I've ever seen. And like, I was more focused on that and mesmerized by his beauty rather than like the actual person. Was not that impressive. Was not that interesting to me. I couldn't connect or relate with them very well, but I kept I never said that obviously, but like deep down inside I always felt like this was not the run, this was not the right person for me. I was really bored around them all the time. They were not really talkative. Not really a talkative person. They're kind of introvert, but they can be extrovert as well. I'm kind of more introvert. I can be extrovert, but like maybe with a drink or two, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not that kind of person. I don't go out much. He goes out like all the time, like traveling and meeting with people and friends and stuff. And you know, I should have known better what kind of person this was, because obviously for what they did, I should have known. You know, they can't sit still. And that's part of that Libra energy, like air signs, they can't sit still. And I get so tired of that. I get so exhausted and drained. So again, I'll get into that, but there's so much I'll get into. But you guys, yeah, I was nervous because I was around like one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen, and I'll give him that much. He really is very attractive. So in a way, I almost like don't blame him. Yeah, go sleep around, whatever, you know, do what you want to do. And that's why I let him go, because I'm like, you know, you deserve to be happy. I told him that. That's the last words I've said to him. I want you to be happy. You know? Why let me hold you back, you know? It still hurts, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you. But yeah. So I will continue. I'll get to that later. I would say, you know, maybe I'm just very self-conscious and insecure. You know, people have said that I look cute or whatever. I don't see it. When I look in the mirror, I don't believe it. I don't think of it. I think I'm pretty average looking, you know. Like, I don't think I'm like beautiful like that, you know, like him. So, you know, I felt very like self-conscious and insecure. And so like he was giving me a house tour. Impressive house. I mean, it wasn't like big or something, but like it looked very good. The way he presented it looked pretty good, you know. And gave me a tour and talked to me about like all these like wall hanging stuff. They weren't paintings, they were just like bought pictures, but still they're very nice looking. And explained to me like all his travels, like Finland and Mexico and this and that, because he lived like in Thailand and Mexico and Finland for like a year at a time. And so he's well traveled, well versed in global travel, I guess, well, the northern hemisphere at least. And so you know, showing me around and talking to me like, oh, this is my friend and this, that, and that, and what have you. And but the whole time I'm like super nervous, so it's taking me a long time to warm up. I'm shy until I warm up, and honestly the first few times I met him I was still shy, and it took me time to warm up. I couldn't just be myself around him. It took me quite like, I would say maybe 3 months in to totally be myself and just not give a crap. Yeah, so it takes me a long time. And so we talk, and he sits down on the bar stand by his kitchen, and we're having like a drink of something I don't even remember at this point. And then we're talking, and I'm just kind of like, you know, when I talk to someone, I kind of look away from them. I don't really look them in the eye, and I'm just like kind of nervous, really. You could tell, like I was so embarrassed. And then he kind of like warming up to me, like putting his hand on my leg, my knee. And then I was like, oh, now I know where this is going. Of course he was gonna do that, you know. And then, you know, things kind of progress from there. And then we go in the hot tub, and things progress from there. You know what I mean? But we didn't do much else. He was not really a make-out kind of person, which upset me a lot. Deep down inside, I'm like, okay, if this is gonna work, I need them to like kiss me or something. They are not that kind of person. They do not do lip to lip that much. They would always just like boop my nose or kiss the tip of my nose, and I'm just like, eventually I asked him, like, you know, don't you do that? And he's just sort of like germaphobe kind of person when it comes to that. He thinks there's like a lot of germs, which there are, but it's like whatever, man, you know. When you love someone, you know you're gonna be doing that, but it felt very cold to me, you know. And then later I found out like why he's kind of like that, just not really like that emotional or that you know, kind of like a huggy person or intimate person, is because I believe his mother passed away when he was like 3 or something in a car wreck, and he never got like love from his parents. So I was like, okay, they never even like hugged him. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense, you know. And so you know, kind of like an emotionless person, kind of like I don't want to say like psychopath, but like they reminded me of that because, and that's what makes sense with the visions I got about him, because it seemed kind of like a walking dead man, like a emotionless, you know, not to sound mean, but that's the energy I get, you know, the impression. And that's why I was like, now it makes sense why I was so bored around them, because it's like no life to the soul, you know, like sometimes some people have like that soulless body. It kind of felt like that to me. I'm like, okay, that makes sense, you know, when someone doesn't get hugs growing up, I mean, it makes sense, you know, they couldn't help it. That's their development in childhood. Of course, they're going to do some risky things, like they may or may not have committed ARSON. Anyway, they may or may not have lit up someone's boat on fire when they were younger, but in Finland, but that's besides the point. Accidentally, allegedly. So I pretty much got a general idea of this person and who I was with, and I was like, oh, that makes sense now, okay. Yeah, so I put 2 and 2 together pretty quickly, but again, I didn't say anything. I obviously, you know, I don't want to like agitate that kind of a person, because, you know, if they are that kind of a person, typically they have like narcissistic traits, and anyway, I won't go into that. So it made sense with their actions later. Basically, yeah, while I'm playing psychology, like, you know, I'm absorbing as much information as I can from them, and when I go home, I kind of just like puzzle piece things together, because I'm not stupid. Like, it's not my first time around the block. Like, I can figure someone out pretty quickly. It's the Virgo analytical trait person in me, but I will pretend to be stupid in front of you and pretend like I didn't hear what you just said, and I'll act like I forgot, but really I know. But that's just my way of playing the game of chess. It's just like, you know, you can think you can play a game with me, but actually I won before you even knew. So I guess, you know, I'm pretty messed up in some ways, but yeah, anyway, that's why no one can, you know, really mess with me in that way and play games, because I mean, you can't outsmart a 135 IQ. I'm just saying. I'm not Mensa for no reason. Not to say I'm the smartest person on the block, okay? I'm no Einstein, but you can't outsmart. Okay, I'm pretty good at logic, alright? Pretty good at logic. Yeah. Whatever, man. I guess that's the ego talking, but I can let it out once in a while. It's okay. Alright, I've been hurt before. It's okay, you know. It's okay to express my pain. So that's what this video's for, you know. I just want to let it out. But they were very intelligent as well, so it's like it made it even harder to outsmart them in a way. You know, we kind of both kind of played mind games with each other for a while. Yeah, so after November, you know, I think this third time I met them, I did not expect it. Or no, okay, let me take a step back. So, like the second time I met them, they were busy doing like real estate classes online. I don't want to jump because so many things happened. It's probably going to be the longest time ever. Oh my god. And I was so tired. Like, I just got done with so many bookings. I was doing like tarot readings before I came over their house, and then it was so hard to balance like bookings, ASMR, my life, and like other priorities and needs I had to take care of, and then going to their house like almost every day of the week. And I'm like, a lot of, at the time, my bookings were like delayed longer because of this and the travels, because I was doing nothing but traveling over the last 6-7 months, and people were like, oh my god, you gained weight, you got fat. I'm like, I've been doing nothing but traveling for 6 months straight, and we've been eating out all the time at nice restaurants with so much food such a long time. And people were like, yeah, you gained weight, you got fat. I'm like, and some people knew, they were like, yeah, when you cozy up to a new partner, you're gonna gain a few pounds because you're finally like, oh, I can let go, you know. And before I met him, I was doing like intense workout like every week, and I still do, but like now that I'm back on track, but I didn't have the time anymore. So like obviously when you slouch around and lounge around on vacation for 6 months and eat all the nicest, finest foods you can imagine, until your stomach wants to explode and have all this like wine and stuff, obviously I'm gonna go from 140 to 148. Okay, so it happened. All right, whatever. I'm always the type of person that kind of like gains weight and then loses it and becomes skinny and then gains it again, like on and off. I'm fat, I'm too fat one day, I'm too skinny another day. Yeah, I can never please anyone. So yeah, for people making those comments, and then someone the other day was like, oh, you look bored now, but at least you're happy. I'm like, what the heck? It doesn't even make sense. I actually feel happier now and more free now. I was bored with this person. Like, I was genuinely bored because I was not interested in the things I thought I was into. So I did it mostly for him, mostly to get a partner. My whole goal, my whole life was to get a partner. I finally did it. I realized I don't want that anymore. So now I'm not doing that. So that's why I'm happier, because I don't want that anymore, you know? So I just tried it to see if it works and see, like, is this really what I want? That's all I was with him for. So in a sense, I see why now things had happened the way they happened. So in that way, I can let it go. But still, sometimes I feel upset or angered by what happened. But let's continue, because I'm a human being. I feel emotions naturally. I'm gonna get upset. I want to talk about it. So I'm tired after a day of bookings, and I'm at his house, and I'm like, I felt bad because this is only the second time I'm meeting him, and he's doing real estate classes. I'm like, is it okay if I take a nap on your couch for a bit, or just lie down and watch some TV? He's like, oh yeah, sure. So he gives me a blanket and a pillow, and I lie down, but I can't sleep because my heart's racing, because I can't believe I'm in his house taking a nap on his couch, and like, this is actually my new reality. And he's doing his courses in the other room. And then after an hour, I get up from the couch, and I kind of like go to, because he has a camera, he has to be on camera for the real estate, and I thought he was still on break, and so I jokingly like went like this to the camera and waved. He was like, what are you doing? He got like so mad at me all of a sudden, like total like 360 in 1 second, and he pushed my arm away, and he was like, you're not supposed to do that. What do you think you're doing? And I'm like, it was just a joke, dude. Like, calm down. You know, like, I was just waving. I thought you were on break. I didn't think your camera was on. I'm sorry. And he was just like, no, you're not supposed to do that. You're going to get me in trouble. I'm going to get kicked out. I'm like, okay, geez, fine. So I, like, walk away. And then, like, I come back 30 minutes later to tell him I'm about to leave. I have work to do. I just got, like, 3 more bookings just sitting there on the couch. And, I didn't want to interrupt and be on camera because I was so scared of, like, he just went off on me. And so, yeah, you can already see how toxic it was. So, and this was, we didn't even date. We were still, like, friends at the time. So, I, like, crouch, and I kind of sneak to his door, and I'm like, hey, can I, you know, leave? And he's like, you scared me. He's not capable of getting scared. Like, trust me, I've tried that. Those kind of people with those traits, you can't scare them. Try it. Like, especially someone that actually is, like, diagnosed with a certain mental thing. If you go behind them and scare them, they don't get scared. They don't feel fear like that the same way we do. So it's like, I know I do. Like, I get scared even if I see you coming, and yeah, like, I'm such a chicken. I see a spider, I'm like, you know, yeah. So yeah, so he obviously said that for, like, just to be attention seeking, or still to be mad at me, I don't know, to hold it against me. So he's like, you scared me, dude, don't do that, get off the floor, what are you doing? And I'm like, you said not to be on camera, now you say not to be on the floor. So I'm so confused. So I'm like, okay, sorry. And I'm always the kind of person that's like shy, head down, like, sorry, like insecure, like, yeah, I'll let you speak over me like that. So yeah, I guess in a way we were a match there, because, you know, it would have been the type of relationship where he tells me what to do. But after a while, that started ending when I started realizing who he was, and I more stood up for myself and spoke up for myself. I was too afraid to, because I wanted a relationship so bad. I let him do his thing and then speak over me and tell me what to do. for 3-4 months, I was like super, super sweet. Like, I did nothing wrong. Like, I'm gonna take full accountability for what I said and did soon. But honestly, God, honest truth, the first few months, I said or did nothing wrong. Nothing. You can't find an impurity in that time period. So, and trust me, I know my Virgo analytical self, you know, the last 3 months I've been doing nothing but reflecting back on everything that happened, correcting myself so that that doesn't ever happen again with a future person. Overthinking to the point where, like, you're up till like midnight thinking about like what happened and like how it happened, why it happened, connecting the pieces, connecting it with another event. Like, I did all of that, okay? So, you know, when you play the game of chess and you don't want to lose the next time around, you will figure out what you did wrong and strategize. So that's kind of how I do things. So. Maybe I'm autistic. I know people said I'm autistic. Whatever, maybe. I digress. That's not important right now. What's important is was figuring things out. So I'm like, okay, you know, I go home and like every time I went home, I felt drained. I felt like my energy was sucked. I could see like the bags under my eyes and the lines and wrinkles in my face. I even started getting things I never got. I'm like, oh my God, these are like stress wrinkles. This guy's stressing me the heck out. Like, I almost don't want to talk to him. Like, I spent like maybe 12 hours, no response to his text, just to show him like through his actions and behavior that was not right. And so he was like apologizing to me. He was saying sorry. I was so stressed. I have a lot to do with these classes. And I'm thinking, why the did you invite me then? Like, every time, guys, every time I went to his house, he invited me again. Same with the dating website. I never let anyone, like, barely ever contact anyone. It was only them contacting me, so I let universe take action. I'm not going to invite myself to your house. I'm not going to invade your space. I'm going to respect your privacy and your boundaries, because I had an issue with boundaries 3 years ago. So I didn't want that to happen again, because I really wanted this to happen. And so, yeah, I was like, why are you inviting me then, dude? Like, I didn't say that, but, you know, again, it's thinking it. So I'm like, okay, I'm already being gaslit. But I didn't say nothing. Keeping to myself. And now you know why I looked stressed in my videos. Okay. So, come the third or fourth time, we're, you know, doing our thing, brown chicken, brown cow. And then he's like, aren't you glad you're dating me? And I'm like, I felt really happy. I was like, yeah. I look in his eyes, and when you look in an F-boy's eyes, because I knew first impression looking at him, he looked like an F-boy, but again, I always ignored my intuition. I should have known from the start. So I'm like, yeah. So I was like, wow, we are dating, huh? And he's like, yeah. So I'm already excited. I'm like, wow, that was fast. Like, maybe 2 weeks. Okay. It's like end of November, beginning of December. So, you know, one thing I didn't like, I don't know, he was like into that, I guess. Like, it's kind of like maybe like a FETISH. So recording us and without my permission while we're doing our thing. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know. But again, passive, introvert. I'm like, okay, let me not, you know, scold him for that, because, you know, I just let him take advantage so much. And God knows where that footage is, what he's done with it. I'm probably on some site right now that he's making money off of. Ooh, shady. That's dirty money, you know, that's only you're gonna end up spending it or losing it anyway, so, I mean, good luck with that. But yeah, my face is probably out there somewhere I don't want to be. And now, besides the point, what was I saying? Lord Jesus mercy. Come December, it's around Christmas, so we're skipping through, okay, to the interesting parts, okay? Obviously, I'm not gonna like share every day of what happened, and I won't even remember. So, this guy overall treated me pretty fairly, okay? Pretty decently, I'm surprised I'm not underwater by now. Oh my god, did you hear about that glacier in Antarctica? Like, if that goes, I go. Like, you guys, it's over for me. Yeah, like, I don't live that high in elevation. I'm only like 7 feet above. So I'm so screwed if that happens. So, yeah. Knock on wood, God forbid. But anyway, thank God I'm not attached to this life, right? I don't care what happens at this point. Whatever, man, you know. You can replace things, you can't replace your soul, you know. So it is what it is. So I gotta say that speaking of soul, like, my connection to Jesus is so important, and like, that's all I care about right now. I'm glad he got me out of that situation, because it would have ended up a nightmare. Like, I just like got do the speaking and talking, and I was even talking to God. I'm like, should I still stay with this man? I don't know what to do. And he's just like, yeah, because I'm trying to show you something. And I'm like, what are you trying to show me? I don't understand. So I was like, okay, I'll listen to you, God. I'll listen to you. You know, I just kept trying to trust in him. But if it weren't for Jesus, I would be dead right now. Like, I don't know how I did it. So I basically, the problem was I was too nice, you know, when I shouldn't have been. I guess that was his narcissistic way of testing me, because they like to test people. Yeah, they like to mirror you at first and reflect what you're doing and your behavior and imitate you to try to warm up to you, and then they attack like a snake. And the gaslighting and everything was so real, so very real. And I feel so sorry for people who are like in years and years and years long relationship with a narc, because it's not easy. It will ruin your soul if you let them. If you don't get out before it's too late. They will weave you into their web, and they will feed you off of you, of your energy, and their supply. You're their supply, like food. So, that's how I felt. And like, even when I first walked in their house, I saw like skulls and bones on like the wall hangings, wall paintings everywhere, and like little like mini sculptures and statues. I've had a bad feeling then. I was like, I don't like this. This is not Jesus. This is not godly. You know, this is not of the light. You know, it had a bad feeling. But again, I just kept brushing it off. I'm like, well, whatever. A lot of people like Halloween and Day of the Dead, you know. Because Mexico, Day of the Dead, he was obsessed with Mexico. So, again, benefit of the doubt, but the energy, I didn't like it. If it was my house, I was married to him, yeah, I would have taken all that stuff down. That's not of the most high God, that's for sure. So, like, it'd feel like you walk in a cemetery. I mean, you know, especially in like one of the bathrooms. So, like, am I here to go to a graveyard? Like, you know, it didn't make sense to me. So, yeah, I was like, this is weird. So, come Christmas time, I bought him like some Gucci colognes. It was like $150, whatever, you know, like, no big deal, you know. I just wanted to, you know, get him something nice, and like it was like, one of them was like a little travel cologne, one of them was a big one, and one of them was like a spray deodorant, because I knew you like to travel. So I'm like, okay, you know, this would make sense, and it fits in with your like carry-on stuff. So I get him the gift, he opens it, and like, he didn't even get me anything. So I'm like, whatever, it's okay, you didn't have to get me anything. The next day he's like, I'm going to buy you gifts. So, you know, I found that like a flag too, like, you're dating me but you didn't get me a gift, and you only got me a gift after I got you a gift. But I'm like, whatever, you know, I don't care, you know, like, I don't care for those things, you know, if you get me a birthday gift or a Christmas, like, I really don't care, like, you don't need to get me anything. But I remembered that he said that, I asked him, like, what made it not work with your ex, because he brought him up, and we'll get to that ex later. And he's like, oh, you know, he lied. He said that we were over by June. It was actually he was over with him a few days before he met me. That's how fast he moved on. Red flag as well, meaning he obviously doesn't have feeling. So like, you can't move on that quick. You just can't move on that quick, especially if you've been with them for a year. He lied about how long he was with him as well, and he lied about the timing of it all and what happened. He said, oh, he never bought me gifts for like holidays or birthday or Christmas. Lie. And he said he always like kind of like really didn't put effort into the relationship. Lie. And stuff like that, just to make me like convinced that, you know, they were like a bad person, but they weren't the bad person themselves. Narc trick. So I was like, okay, you know, I kind of like felt like when someone lies, even if they don't show their body language, you feel in the realm of the spirit they're lying. But again, I brushed it off. And, you know, I started seeing signs and visions and dreams more and more, like God really starting to warn me. And I saw him like cheating on me in dreams too, and like being with other like women and stuff, which he was bi, so like he was into both genders, so whatever. I also found that red flag, but I was like, well, you know what? Let me try. It's the first time, you know, trying with not someone like that. Let me try. And ironically enough, narcs usually are bi, but anyway, that's besides the point. Because I guess they like to sleep around and stuff like that. And they don't care who it's with. It could be with anyone, as long as they get their supply. So there you go. So yeah, I realized who this monster was now, but it took me a while to connect the pieces, because he was good at not showing it and making it obvious. So you start questioning yourself and wondering, are you the type of person like that? Maybe you said or did something wrong. You know, that's how sick they are psychologically, like that's how manipulative they are. You know, so I'm like, all right, you want to play games? That's when I started playing games back, you know, mind games. And then it just makes it worse, because the more you do that, the more they do it back in a worse way, and it's like you just can't ever win with them, so you're just always better off letting them go. So, you know, I was trying to play games where it wasn't my business, okay? Not everyone's meant a seat at your table to play the chess game, you know what I'm saying? You should play with a friend, not an enemy. So I was like, okay, and then they bought me gifts, and it was like in a nice bag and wrapped with like a bunch of different paper and stuff, and he made it seem like it was like 4 or 5 gifts, and it was just like a bunch of little crystals, and I was happy for that. I'm like, but you put all that effort and made it like look impressive, and then it was just a bunch of rocks, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, you know, it was like, well, maybe like $20. I mean, whatever, like you really didn't put much effort into this last minute. So I'm like, whatever, man, you know, he just obviously did this to look impressive or to make it seem like whatever, I don't even care. So I'm like, you know, I'm happy I like crystals, you know, but I just knew right then and there, I'm like, yeah, something doesn't feel right about this too, like last minute. And then like, and it was like after Christmas already, and like, you might as well just not have got me anything. It's okay, just let it go. I'm not expecting gifts. I didn't buy you the Gucci just to, you know, expect you to buy me a gift. I just did it because, yeah, I was excited. I was dating you and whatever, okay? So, obviously I wasn't talking like this or feeling this way at the time, but looking back, I'm talking about it this way now, in this regard. So don't think I was like all rude about it back then. I wasn't. This is how I feel now, looking back, because of the type of person they are. So, yeah. So come January, we go on our first trip, and he always planned the trips a month or 2 out. Red flag narcs do that. They always are the type of person that throws a dart at a future date, and then when you get near that future date, they throw another dart at a future date to get them to stay with you. So basically this person, Voldemort, kept doing that through the whole relationship, and trip after trip they planned, but guess who had to pay? Yeah, you guessed it right. They paid to their part, but I think I was scammed. I really do. In the realm of the spirit, I felt like always like I was scammed. Like he asked for more than it really cost or something, or he always used like this trick with points and stuff. That made it seem like it was worth this much, but really, I think I ended up paying more for everything. To be brutally blunt with you, I didn't trust, like, at this point, I didn't trust anything. I didn't believe him about anything because it was always something deceitful, deceptive, you know? And one day he was even like, oh, can you not Apple Pay me? Can you give me a handwritten check? I just always receive Apple Pay. I just want to get a check this time. I'm like, that was suspicious. But I have those checks that are like high security, so you can't even try to like do something because it has like one of those logos that you can't, you know? So, yeah, so I just knew right then. And then he went to like Mexico, like literally like a day later, like out of the blue, like he just planned a trip to Mexico. And I'm like, oh my god, what if this guy like ends up like taking everything I have? You know, like I just felt something was wrong here. Who knows what happened? Who knows? Maybe he used that money and spent it just for his trip to Mexico, and actually the whole trip was free because he used points and he just charged me more than I had to pay. I don't know, but it was definitely over $1,000. This happened multiple times again, so it ended up totaling like, I ended up looking back on all the charges and it was like 12,000. Like that's counting every trip, every expense, every meal, everywhere we went. I was like having really like not a hard time financially. I was still able to save money and, you know, pay my bills and stuff. I never went into debt for this. I paid it all off on my credit cards, but something didn't feel right. Like financially, I was like, okay, you know, I know I could do better, but like I'm not progressing as much as I think. And I started like, you know, when everything starts to go downhill when you're with the wrong person. So, you know, at the time I was even like starting to make a little less and like something's not right here, you know, like it's something with the energy, you know, something felt off, you know, when it starts affecting you financially, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, red friggin' flag, and you cannot ignore that. So we went to this place called Cabbage Key and we stayed for 3 days. And so you have to get there by boat. So he does this thing where he rents a boat. It's a ridiculous waste of money. I would never do this in my life. Like, you will maybe go once every 2 months and you pay $500 a month for that stupid thing, and like everyone else uses it, and you have to be careful to not to damage it. And it's really hard some days because there's like a lot of big tides. Like, I would never pay $500 a month for a car, not to mention a boat that you rent. It's not even yours. Like, it was just, and you have to drive like an hour and a half just to get there. I'm like, yeah, it's so waste of money. But anyway, whatever. So I knew right then there, I'm like, okay, this person's like, it's this Mercedes Benz, and they have like 800 like a month payments, and like 500 a month here, traveling like thousands a month, and then I have to pay like their mortgage and all this nice expensive food, and they go to Ritz-Carlton. I'm like, red flag, like this is not how I spend my money. If I did that, oh my god, I'd never be able to save, really. Yeah, I'm not that kind of person. Like, no. So, yeah, maybe he earned like a bit more than me, but to spend your money like that, I don't know. And like all these stories I heard about, like he ended up like making so much, and then he ended up always losing it all. I'm like, how do you get like all this money, and then you like at one point he got like 200,000-300,000, and he like lost it all. I'm like, how did you, you know, gambled it away or something? So I don't know. Who knows? There's things I don't even know. Maybe he's a gambling addiction. I don't know. There's like a sex addiction. Probably it was that, you know, spending money on like things that were, you know, anyway, I won't even go there. But oh my god, and this is all allegedly, obviously, but look, this whole video is allegedly. This whole video is entertainment purposes only. So I basically, it's just a story time for sleep. I basically was like not even knowing half of it, right? Because a person like that somehow hides things very well. And I'll give him that. He was pretty good at hiding things, but you know, I'm not dumb. Like the obvious signs, like when you turn your phone upside down on the table, you're cheating. I mean, you're cheating. Jokes on him. I actually caught several times some text showing up on his car dashboard, and he bought this piano and it had like an iPad attached to it. I saw messages from guys on there, and I saw on his phone when he was sleeping at night. Yeah, it just showed. I wasn't even trying to look. It was on the table, never touched it. The screen turned on. It was next to my phone. I thought it was my phone. I looked over. It's his phone, and what do I see? a bunch of different stuff from different dudes, and I thought it was the people he was talking to through his work, you know. So again, it was always me being silly, benefit of the doubt. But you know, when you're in a relationship with someone, you know. And then they're telling you randomly they're taking like a spontaneous trip here and they don't invite you. Yeah, you know. So, we went to Cabbage Key, and like, I swear to you, the whole time I was bored. Like, and then last minute, he invited his friend because his friend invited himself, and his friend was the type of person to always butt in and invite himself everywhere. I liked the guy, but now I don't, because he basically ignored me after like I broke up with this dude, and I was like trying to still stay friends with him, but like he never wanted to even take accountability that his friend was in the wrong here, and they were best friends for like 10-20 years, so like they go way back. So yeah, I was like, this is toxic AF, so I ended up like blocking them all. But anyway, so we go to this restaurant one day, and he's like, yeah, is it okay if I invite my friend over to our trip? And I'm like, sure, it's fine, whatever, I don't care. And then he starts kind of like digging in more on my emotions, manipulating me, and basically saying like, you know, are you sure? I don't know, I don't like this guy being with us. And I'm like, okay, fine, you know, he keeps trying to drag it, and I'm like, okay, fine, maybe I admit something, like maybe it was a bit too soon. And then he twists it back on me, and it's like, oh, okay, why did you say that? Well, he's my best friend, I'm gonna invite him. And I'm like, like in my head, I'm like, I didn't say it out loud, but I'm like, didn't you just say all these bad things about your friend? You basically talk trash about it. Like, he called him fat, like, all the time. He literally called him fat all the time. Like, he'd leave. He's so fake. He left. His friend would leave his house. Imagine your best friend of 20 years leaves your house, and he's like, oh, fat effer, this and that, talking trash about him. Is that how you treat your pet? Like, so God knows how he would talk about me behind my back. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm like, oh my God, this dude is fake AF. Like, nothing but a fake F boy, literally. That's all he is. So, I'm like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? So, I don't like a drama gossiper like that, you know. Yeah, you might think like I'm gossiping about him now, but whatever, okay? Like, not the same thing, okay? I would not talk trash about my best friend like that behind their back. Are you kidding me? Fake. F-A-K-E. Fake. So, yeah. You're fake. If you're watching this, you fake AF. I don't like you. I don't want you in my life. Karma gonna get you back for what you did. There, I said it. So, I'm sure you've had your fair share of experience of toxic exes. Watching at home, you know, you feel my pain. This video is for you. You couldn't connect with me, right? You feel it. That person that tried to scam you of your money, that person that tried to waste your money and spend it all. I hear this with women a lot. They marry a guy and they spend all their money and they never saved. Girl, what was... Okay, I don't blame you, but what was you thinking, right? Like, it happens so often, though. It's like they have such a good way of taking your money. It's like, I would have never... It's like someone put a spell over me, a hypnosis or something. I would have never spent my money like that, guys. I don't care how much I make. You know me very well. I don't do that. I don't do that. And these men, man, that's why I'm so done with them. Like, I'm like, this ended up the most expensive mistake of my life. And so, moving right along, I'm bored. This is not my kind of a trip. Like, we're doing literally nothing but lounging around. I'm so bored. I'm like, we're literally on a small island. We're stuck. We're trapped here. There's just a stupid walking trail, and I like walking, but I'm like, this place is so boring and not interesting, and like, they were just like ducks or whatever. And whatever, man, you know, I was just so bored. There's literally only one restaurant, and it felt like a place where like only like there were basically, it was a place where only like 50, 60, 70-year-olds go to hang out, get a drink at a bar, and leave on their yacht. So I'm like, obviously this guy is trying to live vicariously through them because he cannot do that in his life. So yeah, like, he always wanted to be acting retired and all that nonsense. And I'm like, girl, you don't got it like that. Don't lie to yourself. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to admit you're a broke millennial. It's okay, honey. It's okay. You don't have to pretend. No, but seriously, I know I'm being really mean right now, but I'm spilling the tea, so. You wanted it piping hot. You got it. Get out of the heat. Stay out the kitchen, honey. Moving right along. So, guys, I've been through so much with these stupid men. Please don't date stupid men. Okay, so regret it for the rest of your life. Yeah. And they will shorten your lifespan. Oh yes, if they stress you out. I'm not saying real men don't exist, but this one, oh my god, not a real man for sure. A very big coward, a big fat coward. So, so anyway. Moving right along. You hear that bird outside? That's how Cabbage Key was. Nothing but bird. I mean, it was peaceful, but like when you're okay. The reason I didn't enjoy it that much is because when you're going places with the wrong person, it doesn't feel right. The whole time I felt red flag in my spirit, red flag, and I couldn't ignore this lump in my throat, this lump in my gut. You just know. And my heart felt blocked. Everything felt blocked. My crown chakra, like everything. I'm like, no crystal could help me. I'm like, maybe I was imbalanced. I work with crystals meditation. Every time I'd see in my meditations, like warning me, like spirit warning me. I'm like, and then I denied. I'm like, maybe this is my subconscious programming. Maybe because I've been so hurt before. But no, they were telling me, no, Tony, stay away from this guy. He's dangerous. So. If he's ever watching this, they love that. I just gave him something he loves because they love that kind of attention. They love when they can see you mad or angry or hating them. Like, yeah, so anyway, I don't hate anyone but, myself sometimes for my own actions and behavior. So I don't blame anyone but myself. So this is where I start taking accountability and standing up for myself. Like one day there was a house that was still being newly built, and you're not allowed to enter newly built construction homes. It's not legal. And he goes in anyway like a rebel, and I am a rebel, but not that much. I don't want to do things like that. That will get me in trouble. So I'm like, we can't go there. And he's like, don't tell me what to do. He always said that. So arrogantly and proudly, don't tell me what to do. You can tell me what to do, but I can't tell you what to do. You can't have it both ways, honey. Good luck dealing with that with your future partner. If ever. Because clearly if you're 37 and you still haven't found the one, maybe it's you who's doing something wrong, you know what I'm saying? And it's not that you have to find the one, but they've been being with people all their life. Like every year they're with someone new. So if you still can't find that person, maybe it's you that's the problem, not me. So yeah, like keep in mind, this is my first partner ever. Like I was never like that, sleeping around doing those nasty things. So yeah, so basically they no judgment if you do, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, I have to get to my point. So, and then they were in the house with me, like walking around, and we were looking to buy a house together. Okay, when you're wanting to have plans and when you're gonna get married soon, which we had plans to, yeah, you're gonna want to plan to buy. I wanted to buy land. I'm more into buying land, investing my money that way than selling house, buying house, selling house, buying house. So they didn't really ever know what to do with their life, so they're always moving around, as you can see, obviously avoiding something. That was their way of avoiding what's inside. They never wanted to look inside, and that's all narc is just people who have been hurt and traumatized from childhood, probably the passing of his mother unexpectedly, and so it eats you up alive. So from soul to soul with love, I can see why he's so broken inside and hurting and not wanting to tap in emotionally, and why it makes him so uncomfortable. And I knew that seeing him, when we opened this photo album, he was talking about his past in Finland, and because he lived there for a year, and he had a family there from a foreign exchange program, and through the school, and one of them ended up passing away, and that he almost looked like he was gonna cry, and I'm finally I can see emotion in him, and then he suppressed it right there. I'm dang it. But obviously it triggered his memory of his mother, so I knew that right then and there. I'm not a therapist or psychologist, but I'm pretty freaking good at that. I'm pretty accurate. I could be. Hey, my tarot readings are basically therapy, so I'm pretty much almost like a counselor by now. So I can read people. I can connect the pieces pretty quickly. be a pretty darn good therapist if I was. But anyway, not to boast and brag, but yes. So, moving right along here, this story time is bringing out parts of me that maybe you've never seen before. I'm sorry. You can hear that brewing coffee. This guy stressed me out so much. I just had to, when I went to the bathroom, I had to get up and make a fresh cup of coffee because this is going to be a long one. I was lucky at the time. I'm like, an hour I've already been talking, and I haven't even gotten to my point. So, halfway to my point. So, yes. I may even make this part 1, part 2. I haven't decided yet. But, so we're in this house, and he tries to break open a closet door. I'm like, oh my god, they're like working on the paint. I'm like, dude, like, the paint hasn't even dried yet. You know, the door hinges. You can see like there's paint over them. Like, you can't open it because the paint's... Don't tell me what to do. He starts ranting at me. Why are you so cynical? Why are you this way? And I'm like, you know what? Just forget it. And he opens the door and breaks the paint, the hinges. So I'm like... And he starts getting mad at me. And I'm like, you're mad at me because I told you not to do that, and now you just busted the door. So again, gaslighting. So, I'm like, whatever. My spirit's broken at this point. I'm like, this is like the 3rd time this happened this month. Like, you're just yelling at me about something I didn't even, like, I'm like trying to warn you, and now you're gonna get in trouble, especially if I got caught, because those guys worked hard to put the paint on that door, and you just ruined it, and now they have to redo the paint job. So, basically, then we go home, and he's like, are you mad at me? And I'm like, no. So I'm always brushing it off. And again, that's part of gaslighting as well. They just gaslit you, and now they're going to gaslight you again by asking you if they're mad at you. And then they never apologize. If they do, they don't mean it genuinely. So this got me so stressed. And he's like, okay, let's go get like cookies at the gas station. Almost every night, he's wondering why he's gaining weight, why he's calling himself fat. He wasn't fat, but like, he's always like calling himself fat. Okay, whatever, he had a belly. Okay, big deal, you know. That was no fault of his own. Like, I admit, like, he said he had like a major car accident, and it like almost busted his spine, and he was like having like twitches like this for a long time. And I was a massage therapist, as you know, so I'm very good at massage, and I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not claiming I helped heal him or anything. I know I have like a gift or something through my hands and ability, but over time he did get a lot of improvement. The twitching stopped completely. He didn't have pain. Well, he still had pain in his back, but like it subsided over a long time. And he could be more mobile and move again and like do things he couldn't do before, like really good exercises. So I'm not claiming I healed him, but maybe I did over the months. And you know, he would ask me to massage him every time, and I would get so tired, my wrists would hurt. Like one day, I couldn't even like move my wrist because it was so in pain, because like he's a big guy, so I have to really get in there deep, you know. And I was really tired, I was really drained, and it takes my energy, and so like he would ask me to do it several times a day. It got to a point where I'm like, maybe I want a massage. He never did that for me, and he would like do it maybe for a minute and then stop. But then like if I do it for 5-10 minutes and stop, he would always ask for more, and it was never enough. And he would ask me to buy cookies at the gas station every night, and ask me to buy him like different food, like drive-thru or something, and get him food like all the time. Like every time I went over his house, he always wanted me to get him food, and he's wondering why he's getting weight, and then complaining that his doctor's saying that he's getting fat. And I'm just like, you're asking me to help you and get you a healthier lifestyle, but then you're asking for this kind of like stuff. So like it never made sense. It always felt like I was just being like, and that was part of the hypnosis of gaslighting. Like when you get gaslit so much, you're a frog in boiling water, and you're so used to that, you think it's normal, and you think this is how normal relationships should be, but they're not. They're really not supposed to be like that normally. So I really started to question life and everything, and I just started getting more upset, more unhappy, and like even my mom was like, are you okay? Like she could really see, because you know, someone like my mom, like you see me online, but someone like my mom truly knows who I am when I go over her house. Like she could start seeing I'm more tired, I'm more drained, I don't have enough time for myself, I didn't have enough time to take care of my needs, and I kept being the yes man, saying yes when he wants to hang out and be with me. And guys, we went to probably 100 different places in 6 months. I lost, I don't remember anymore. Most of them in Florida, but like it got to the point, guys, when it was time for us to go to like the Ritz-Carlton. I didn't want to go. The Ritz mother flippin' Carlton, which is like over $1,000 a night. I didn't want to go. I was so tired of this dude. I was so drained. Like, I didn't even care anymore. Like, the whole time I was bored. Even at the Ritz, I was bored. Honestly, it wasn't that impressive to me. I've seen nicer places. I'm gonna be brutally blunt with you, okay? Not discounting the Ritz. It is truly, hands down, what they call the nicest hotel chain, but I was so done with this dude at this point. I'm like, I don't care if you take me to the moon. Like, I won't be impressed. Like, I'm not impressed. I'm bored. And guys, I've been well-traveled and versed as a young age. Like, my parents had quite a bit of money at the time when I was young. So, like, I've been there, done that. I've been doing things people do, like, 10, 20 years later my age. So, like, those things don't really impress me anymore, okay? I get bored very easily. So, that's why I kind of keep to myself. Because I know that everything's within, you know. You could have the nicest, richest life. You know, it doesn't impress me anymore. So, yeah. So, moving on, I was like bored at Kabashkita. I was bored here at the Ritz. I was bored. And then he got like so drunk at the Ritz, and we went to the store, and it was like before Mother's Day, and I wanted to buy my mom a gift. And like, those are the kind of people, if you ask them to do a favor for you, they'll do it only if it satisfies them in some way, or it like they doing it with a ulterior motivation. So like, if I asked him to go to the store with me to get something for Mother's Day, he got so drunk to the point where, like, drunk his brains, walking around making me embarrassed, and now I have to apologize to the clerk lady because I have to take care of him because he's so drunk, and walking around making a mess, spilling the drink on like the merchandise on the floor. And oh my god, you guys, like, it was a nightmare. And I myself was a bit tipsy at the time, but like, I was enough to be like control. Like, I'm a very good drunk. Like, I can control it. I can like act. Heck, I'm so good. I could be now and you won't even know. I'm not, obviously, but I'm pretty good at controlling that. So I had to be responsible for him at the time. So now I'm like this tiny 27-year-old managing this grown 36-year-old because they're so drunk as brains they don't even know where they are. So yeah, so basically lady is thankfully forgiving. I'm buying my mom this nice expensive rose quartz bracelet and this card from the Ritz-Carlton store, and then we walk out, and I'm just like, I'm so embarrassed, and like, I'm like red in the face. And so yeah, again, I asked him to do something several times during the relationship with me, and it's always like, I have to do things for him and with him, not the other way around. If I ask him to do something or a favor, no, I have to do it, or he won't do it for me, or like, it's something like like roll eyes, or like, you know, always doing it with pressure, or always doing it if it serves him in some way. That's the word I was looking for. If it serves him in some way. Otherwise he won't do it. Or he'll make me feel guilty for asking him. So yeah, horrible relationship. Like, the more I talk about it, the more I'm really happy I got out. And I'm like really truly free right now. Free to how to spend my money and save it how I want. Never respected me. Always I brought up, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be traveling this month because we've been traveling and just spending all this money. I was spending $2,000 a month on travel alone. Okay, not counting my bills and stuff. Like, there were some months I spent like $9,000-$10,000. So yeah, he didn't ask me if I have food to eat today. He didn't ask me if this is gonna be within my budget. So yeah, basically, there was coming to a point where I've had enough, but I didn't know how to tell him, and so let's not skip ahead of ourselves here. It was now after January happened. February comes and we go to Puerto Rico, and we're there for a week, and so again, I'm like bored the whole time. I don't know why. Like, normally if I go to like a travel or something, I'm not bored. I felt so bored. I was like, I don't really want to be here and doing this right now. I would rather be doing this alone, although like traveling alone sucks really, so I didn't want to do that. And I'm like, this is not what I expected. I don't want to be traveling with a friend, a boyfriend, nothing right now. Like, I just want to be home saving money. This is an expensive trip, you know. I just wasn't having it. And in February, like, I had maybe 2 or 3 drinks in one day. The first time he's seen me do that. And he's like, oh, do you have a drinking problem, gaslighting again? When clearly he also was drinking during the trip. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, I can't believe you literally just asked me that. Like, we're about to go to bed and fall asleep next to each other. He's like, do you have a drinking problem? I'm like, and then later I found out he has a sister who has that problem. And so, like, it was maybe an insecurity that came out within him. And then later I found out he has another sister that has, like, a mental health issue. So I'm like, yeah, I see the pieces now. Like, you know, it's genetic. Like, you know, you put 2 and 2 together. You're like, okay, it's okay, boo-boo. I have family like that, too. It's okay. You don't have to feel, you know, some type of way. It's okay. I understand how mental health works. By now, I'm not perfect either. I have problems, too. It's okay, you know, but I tried telling someone like that in their face. Good luck with that. So, basically, I was really hurt to the point I couldn't sleep, so I left the bed. I went out on the patio, and it was like a view on a mountaintop. It was very nice, like, very nice house. Not big, but, like, I mean, like, you're on a freaking mountain next to a lake in Puerto Rico. I mean, in the middle of a jungle. Like, how, it doesn't get better than that. But I still didn't feel happy. I didn't feel satisfied. I was like, this is not it. Because then I start, I guess, tapping more into my spirituality. I was like, yeah, realizing the physical things don't count, don't matter. And that's why I really don't spend money like that anymore. Is because I know those things don't bring you peace and happiness. They just don't. Like, I'd rather meditate than go to Ritz-Carlton. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't bring me happiness. Like, it's it is so funny, guys. Like, I still have like $2,000 worth of points, and like, I could spend on travel right now if I want, but like, it would be a free trip. But I still haven't spent them. Like, I don't know where to go, what to do, because I know that doesn't bring me peace and happiness. So I almost like gave them away to my family or whatever, but then like, I worked hard for it. I didn't really want to do that either. So they're just sitting there doing nothing, collecting dust. But maybe one day I can figure out where to go and what to do. But for now, it just doesn't feel right. It's just like, I don't know, maybe I don't know, something keeps telling me wait, but maybe there's gonna be food shortages and I'm gonna need it on that. Who knows? Like, honestly, I kept trying to warn him about that. I warned him about inflation like months ago. Since end of last year, I warned him about food shortages. He didn't listen to me, and now everyone's complaining. My stocks just dropped 3% in like a minute because of the CPI index for August. He didn't believe me when I kept warning him that, like, even when the Feds would raise interest rates, that wouldn't work. It would keep going up. And it's September, mid-September now, and like, it's happening. It's here, and he didn't believe me. Not a word. Okay. I always say, don't believe the psychic. I mean, like, okay, fine. Don't kill the messenger. Don't yell at me when you make a poor decision. I'm just saying. Oh, Father God of creation. Anyway. So, look, I know God gave me this gift, and I'm not boasting about it, but like, when you try to warn or love someone and they don't listen to you, it's so aggravating. It's like, so he kept trying to discredit me, even my beliefs. He was like, oh, how much of the Bible did you read? And I'm like, 600 pages. And he's like, oh, are you sure you didn't join like a cult or something? I'm like, what the heck? Like, he kept making a mockery of my belief in God. He kept judging me, making fun of me. He kept laughing in my face. You know, the whole time, like, I could go on and on, you guys. It was the most unhealthy, toxic relationship ever. Gosh, oh my God. It was horrible. Like, I didn't think it was this many things until I'm making this story time. I'm like, oh my God. Like, it was horrible. So, yeah, so basically, like, he would even on purpose play, like, Netflix shows and movies and documentaries about, like, how bad, like, religion or, like, stuff like this. I'm not, like, religious, like, hardcore, where I'm, like, going to church on Sunday and, like, you know, but I do read my Bible every day, you know, I have faith in God. And he's just trying to, like, I think I dated the devil himself. I dated the devil himself, guys. Oh my god. Oh, I was such a fool. So, look, I don't care if you believe or not believe. That's not. But like, if I'm gonna be with you, you have to have at least some faith or something, because, or some understanding of your spiritual connection. I'd prefer that above all. Like, every time I talk about spirituality, and he'd be like, well, you don't know, you don't have all the answers, always trying to discredit me and make me feel like I'm crazy. Like, well, we don't really know what's out there. And I'm always asking, what are your beliefs? He's like, I don't know. All this stuff you're saying, I don't think it's true. I think it's just speculation and it's conspiracy theory. I'm like, yeah. So there's no point talking to a person like that. You know, obviously, like, when you have a belief and you know it, like, to yourself it's right. You know, I'm not saying I'm right, but to yourself it's right. You see how they can make you feel like you're crazy, and it was always like that, always making me feel like I'm crazy. And I'd, like, even send him, like, a YouTube video, and he'd be like, oh, this person's being dramatic, I don't think this is gonna happen. It's happening, and it's been happening, and now I almost want to laugh in their face back, because I was right. Like, she was right at the end of the day. Oh my god, it just makes me laugh, because, like, you know, you had, like, the one they say that laughs the last laughs the sweetest, right? That's what I'm feeling right now, for sure. But anyway, so enough drama. So Puerto Rico's over, and then he tells me, like, he has to, like, fix his sister's computer and go to their house. So okay, I find out months later that he actually ended up doing the dirty deed with his ex in his house that day, and it was the day before Valentine's Day. So I didn't know this at the time, but yes, I'm excited. We have our first Valentine's Day. Now I feel kind of, like, crushed in the spirit, because I know that, like, I always wanted a Valentine and I never had one. And the fact that he cheated on me a day before Valentine's Day, it couldn't have been, like, the worst timing. And again, that's part of their sickness in their mind. They play games like that. So it's like he just wanted to crush me in my spirit or something. I don't know. Maybe because I didn't want to have intimacy with him during our trip during Puerto Rico. He tried to once, and I just kind of, like, didn't want to. I didn't feel like it. And I'm not that kind of person. I don't crave it. I don't want those kind of things. And he obviously couldn't keep it in his pants. So he ended up doing it with someone else. So, you know, whatever. Obviously not a match. So that's why I let him go, because I knew, like, he was into that and I'm not, and that's okay, you know. That's what makes him happy. Let him do his thing. What makes me happy is not doing that thing. Okay, so obviously I don't want to stay with a person who's unfaithful and so insecure in himself. He thinks, you know, he can just do it with anyone without not getting caught red-handed. I was so glad he was caught. I was so glad. So, you guys, come March, we have this other trip again to Key, and I'm like, okay, we're just going to Key now again. And then he's planning it ahead of time for, like, October for his birthday. So I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna end up going here 3 times, really. Like, it's so expensive. Like, it's like $400 or $500 a night plus. And it's so boring. Like, I have no interest or desire to be there. So then come April, I think is the only month we go nowhere, but, like, more like local, you know. So I was, like, even more bored, because now when you get used to all this travel and then you do nothing, like, April was like felt like the longest month. Like, it's so boring. Like, we were probably doing nothing but watching Netflix and stuff. But deep down inside, I was kind of happy too, because I'm like, I get to save more money by the end of this month. But we ended up spending it anyway. anyway, because it's just like, he was always bored. He's like, oh, why don't we go somewhere? And he was like, I broke up with my past partners because they never took me out anywhere. So I was like, kind of like, okay, whatever. I was paranoid at one point, but at this point, I'm like spending so much money. I'm glad if he breaks up with me tomorrow, because that means I will get to keep my money. So at this point, I'm valuing my money more than the relationship. So he's like, why don't you take me out somewhere? So I'm like, I don't really know where to go, because I don't go much of anywhere. So I'm like, okay, let's go to this pier, this really big pier in the water. So we go there, but then he's like wanting to spend money on expensive drinks. And then I'm like, okay, like, do you even have a good time with me? Because you're always like smoking and drinking, like, and then you're calling me the one that's a problem. Like, really? So, he already gets like super drunk by the time we get to the pier. I'm like, how is this even real anymore? Like, if he doesn't smoke or drink, like when he's with me, like he gets so agitated and irritated, and it feels like I'm a burden or I'm a bother when I'm with him, because he's so addicted. So, basically, like, he has to be out of it all the time, otherwise he's not happy. And that just made me realize who he really was. And yeah, so I always seem to attract people like that. But anyway, it made me feel like I was just not welcome. I was a bother. I was a burden every time I was with him. And unless he had a good hit, I was like looked at as a bother. And narcs, they do look at people like a Barbie doll that's there to do as they say with their command, with a snap of a finger. So I felt used and mistreated for sure. And I definitely felt used just for intimacy, and that's all. Like, I didn't even feel like doing it 90% of the time, and he wanted to. And honestly, he wasn't even that good in the bed anyway, so I was like, I'm glad it's over, because like, I really wasn't having a good time. It was, yeah, I just didn't like it at all. It was so uncomfortable to me. Yeah, it's just, when it's not with the right person, you don't enjoy it at all. So, yeah, come May, we're going to go to Mexico for a month. So this whole time I'm getting visions that he's gonna like propose to me, and he brings up in the Ritz-Carlton that he wants to marry me, and he didn't engage, but he mentioned it, and we're talking about budget, and he wants me to spend like $20,000 on the wedding, and I'm like, no. He's like, okay, fine, $10,000, and I'm already like, no, but I'm like, we'll see, we'll talk about it. I said maybe $5,000, okay, even if I have it, like, I'm gonna be cheap with my money. I'm not gonna spend $20,000 on a wedding. Are you freaking kidding me? Get out of here with that. I wouldn't spend that on a down payment on a house. Are you joking? So, I already knew I wasn't gonna do it, but I just kept pushing it off, and like, whatever. You want to play games, I'll play games too. So, I kept pushing it away, the conversation. And he's also talking about land and a house, and so I'm like, what? You don't even have that money, dude. Like, what? We don't have that money combined. What are you gonna buy all this stuff and do it? So then, like, he wanted to do things, and then when I bring it up, he'd be like, no, I changed my mind. He wanted to move here, he wanted to move there. So I'm like, what do you want? Then he wanted to buy a boat together. I'm like, guys, I was just playing games. He played my games with me the whole time. Like, I was so bored at this point. Like, I didn't even want a boat. I didn't want anything. I just wanted to stay home. I wanted to avoid him at all costs. Like, there were days he would text me. I would ignore his text for hours because I was just busy working, and I didn't want to talk to him because, like, he never knew what he wanted in life, and I don't like to have people around me like that, because it's like, you have to have dreams and goals. Like, you have to know what you want. I'll be back. Let me get my coffee. Sorry, guys. My blood sugar was dropping. See, my blood sugar always never dropped this much, as I was with this guy. And that was a sign. Like, someone taking my energy, stressing me out, even talking about him. So I had to get some sweets and coffee until I get my lunch to hold me over. But every time I have low blood sugar, he'd never have compassion. He'd never have empathy or compassion for me. Always blame me. Said I would never get a snack, or why didn't I eat, or why didn't I do something about it? And even like in TV shows and stuff, whenever he'd watch someone, he'd always say, like, crying or something, he'd always say, like, oh, they're playing the victim. Why don't they ever take accountability for their life? And it was like, he was never the victim, and I get that, but it gets to a point where you have like no compassion, empathy. Like, when you say that every time for everything, there's a balance. You clearly shame on you. So I would be like to the point of tears sometimes, and he would really do nothing about it. He'd always walk away from the room or just like kind of brush it off. So yes, there were times, I can take accountability, but like every single time, like any situation, anything to the point where I'd be in tears, never reciprocating, never really truly being there for me, always walking away and smoking or something, you know what I'm saying? So, like, this person, they're meant to be single. They need to be single. They're not meant to hurt more people and be in a relationship and emotionally and mentally manipulate and abuse them in that way. And take advantage of them with their money, and just because you can travel and have nice, like, it's just wrong. It's so pathetically sad and wrong. To the point where they treat their family like this. Why didn't my father spend $7,000 to help me build like a concrete sidewalk, or help me build my patio, and like, why are they taking so long? And like, my stepdad works at Cutter Company. He's very, very successful. It's a multi-million-dollar business, but like, I was even like, oh yeah, he can give you a good discount, and like, just, he was always so ungrateful with everything. So like, even talking smack about his best friend, about his mom, about his stepmom, about his dad, about his sister. Like, he was saying, oh, why does my sister ask me to go to Puerto Rico with her for her birthday? Because like, our sister, his sister's father passed away, and she got this inheritance, and she bought like a house and stuff, and wanted to spend her money. Okay, fine, fair enough, good for her. But he was talking smack about her behind her back, like, oh, why does she want to go on this trip with me? And then they ended up going on the trip, and then he was gaslighting me and saying, oh yeah, they had the nicest trip ever. And then while like we went to Chicago, he was saying the trip with us to Chicago was super draining. And I'm like, you fake person, you horrible, I could call you worse names. You were the one talking trash, and his karma was he got really, really sick during that trip to Puerto Rico. That's what you get for talking bad about your sister, who's just only trying to be nice to you and spend money on your trip, and she ended up paying for it. So I was like, are you kidding me? Horrible, horrible. So, it makes me think that he was exaggerating and lying. Also, he lied about everything. So it makes me wonder, maybe he lied about not ever receiving hugs from his family. And always being treated like the oddball out because he was the stepchild of the family. Not biologically related to any of them. So it made me wonder, like, maybe he really is a horrible person, and lied about everything, literally. So, but I'm gonna keep it to myself, Like, I'm not that type of person that will end up telling his parents everything, or his friend, or like, I know where all of them live and all that stuff. I'm not gonna, like, tell them everything or expose everything. They're anonymous on this video, so they'll never watch this video, obviously. So, they don't even know I do YouTube. Like, they don't know anything, so obviously they'll never find. But when you're hurt, it's tempting, but it's wrong. So it's like, whatever, man. You can let it go and brush it off. So, before Mexico, we were planning a trip to Chicago, and I planned it well in advance, and I paid for the whole trip, so I don't know why he's complaining. And I wanted to show him around where I was raised, where I grew up, and so we agreed, because he showed me around where he was raised and grew up in Florida. So, okay, fine. The whole time he was complaining, moaning, B-wording about everything. The most unenjoyable trip ever, to the point where, like, I almost got in trouble myself because I was so upset at him, like, nagging at me, telling me what to do, that I just, like, slammed this door in this, like, really expensive theater, and, like, yeah, like, the security was, like, running after me. Then I apologized, but I told him, like, I just wanted a refund. I was so stressed, I'm sorry, and they understood. But my was just sad and pathetic, like his whining, his moaning, it's too cold, I don't like it here. And like even the hotel he chose for us was like really not good, and I know he did that on purpose because he felt some type of way. And then he was saying he liked it and it was nice, but it really wasn't. I'm like, are you kidding me? But I paid for everything. And then so he ended up going to Puerto Rico with his sister, and I ended up like getting like St. Regis, which is even nicer than Ritz-Carlton allegedly. And then later he told me he had such a good time, even though he was telling me the whole time he didn't enjoy his time. I'm like, are you, what? So at this point it's hard to pick up what is true, what is not. Thankfully I knew, because obviously like intuition's pretty good, but when it comes to like why the heck I stayed through this, I'm looking back, I'm like, what was I thinking? Why did I even bother? But again, he always like planned ahead trips. We were supposed to have a trip in July in Georgia, in the mountains by the Georgia Guidestones before they were destroyed. I always wanted to go see them. The irony is like after we broke up, like they were destroyed, so I was like, it's almost like spirit was like, yeah, this is over. So yeah, we were planning a trip to Mexico, and then so he was originally planning it with his friend, another friend they knew, and then they invited me, and I was like, oh, okay, I didn't expect that. So they invited me back in like February or March. So now it's May and we go, and again, same pattern again. Super fake with his best friend in Mexico that he knew for a long time when he lived there, and he was like complaining about him the whole time because he wanted to invite his boyfriend with us together at the house, and he was like okay with it. Obviously he said yes, but then he was complaining the whole time about it, and then he never said it to his face. I'm like, you fake person, you know, you're gonna tell, like, you told me everything, but then it's like, God forbid, you know, if he's ever confronting with a situation that will prove his fakeness, it's like, I'm the one that's supposed to shut up and just like accept it all. And it was, there's so many secrets about him. He has a dark side, like, and a dark past history, like, yeah. He's pretty big in a certain community online, but I won't go into it. And I don't like how he's made his money. Like, that's, to me, that's dirty money. That's why he ended up losing it all, because like, you can't win when you do that, you know. I mean, it's obviously it's legal, but I wouldn't make money like that, that's for sure. So he's like always texting these guys and stuff. Anyway, but he's like the one that's been doing this type of stuff like the longest of anyone's. He's been doing like 20 years, so I'm like, okay, make your money, I guess, but at what cost, you know? He's had so much like bad karma in his life. It's not worth it, you know. It's not worth it. It's like I feel guilty asking all these guys for money. I'm like, whatever, man. It's kind of like messaging people, like, and then they like have to pay you because you're talking to them. It's so stupid, but he's been doing it such a long time, and both adults equally agreeing it's an equal fair exchange, so whatever. But then one time he invited one of them over to his house. He's like, oh yeah, we're not gonna do anything. It's just like we're friends. Then I found his page and I saw they were doing something. Okay, lie. And then I found back in March he was doing something else with someone else, and I said, is that an old video? And he's like, yeah, it's an old video. Lie. He went on a cruise ship end of March. I saw a vision of him cheating on me with a woman, and then when he came back home, he was like, yeah, I asked the front desk lady if I could have this extra room, and he made it seem like he did something, like he had to do a favor for them, and I think that was his way of like sick, twisted mind of saying like, yeah, he cheated on me during that. I think he did on the cruise ship. You can't go on a cruise ship for a week and not cheat when you go alone. Seriously. Lie. So basically, that you didn't go with me, but I was still suspicious. Why do you go to Mexico alone? To meet your best friend, who you probably were sleeping with too. Why are you go on this cruise ship alone? And then he went to Puerto Rico with his sister, now by themselves. It was like, yeah, I wanted to invite you, but my sister just wants to be with us. I'm like, So, which I didn't care. I mean, I didn't want to go there anyway. It's just not, I love it in terms of nature, but it's not my place. You know what I'm saying? And so, not my kind of place. So many times we'd have dinner dates, and he'd be on his phone, like ignoring me, texting these guys, and who knows, God, what else? Even texting his ex, I'm sure. The text would even show up on the TV. It even showed up on his computer or on his sister's computer when he was fixing his sister's computer. The text between the guys showed up, and she has no idea what he does for a living. She's like, what are all these messages from these guys? And she knew he was with me, and because I met up with her to meet her and his family for like Easter. So he got caught red-handed, and I'm sure she knew, but she didn't say anything. So that was his karma as well. You can't hide secrets, honey. Honey, whatever's in the dark will eventually come to light. I promise you. You will be exposed. So, but it's not my job to expose you, no. I'm just here to talk. For sleep and relaxation. Yeah, no one knows who you are. So, because I don't want that to kind of draw my negativity in my life anymore. I'm just so done. Like, after I'm done talking about this, I'm done. Like, this is my way to just release it, ventilate, and let it go. And give you entertainment. But we went to Mexico, May through June, and then like the whole first week it was nothing but his friend nagging and moaning and complaining about his friend's friend. That they didn't get along, so me and him were just sitting there watching his friend and his friend's friend moaning and complaining to each other like the first week. Like, that's all the trip was. The first week was just the whole time they were like B-wording each other out. They left. Then we got to spend another 2-3 weeks together alone. And once in a while with this other friend. And his other friend invited his partner at the time. They broke up after our trip because they got in a huge fight. But I didn't mind him. I liked him. I thought he was very, like, sweet, and, you know, he's pretty quiet. So I'm like, I don't care, you know, like, bring him, you know, like, it didn't bother me. But the whole time he was complaining about him, like, he threw this in the wrong trash bin. This boyfriend was the most particular person. Like, if you didn't do something in the right order, they would always, like he would complain to me that I used a shower, that I didn't turn the shower head back in a certain position that he liked. Always in his way, his needs, his likes. And then he was saying I take too long showers. And then it probably raises water bill. So you're complaining about your water bill that probably I use maybe like twice a month. Maybe go up $5, maybe $10. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And you're here going to Ritz-Carlton. Get your priorities straight, honey. So, yeah. Anyway. He's been doing this all his life too. Like, I mean, like he just recently came across money. Like he sold a condo or whatever. Then he got in an accident, spent all the medical bills. Like, he didn't have the right insurance at the time. So again, just kind of like, you know, I don't want to say something, but I'm gonna say something honestly. Like, that's God trying to tell you, maybe you need to change your path, honey. Maybe you need to be doing something else with your life. And he was always promising me, baby, I would do something else. I'm gonna do real estate. I'm gonna do selling insurance. He never did anything and kept his promise. He kept working and working the same thing. So I'm like, at this point, I'm done with this guy. Like, I'm already by Mexico, by the middle of their trip in Mexico, I already mentally clocked out of the relationship. I was like, I'm done. When I get home, I'm breaking up with him. I didn't tell him that, but obviously I knew. I just knew something. It would end. And then also there were incidents where he would be with his friend's friend, going to the grocery store alone with her and stuff. So I felt like maybe he did something there had the chance to still be with him and say, you know what, you can be with this dude and then be with me too if you want. I didn't want nothing like that. I could have still stayed with him even if he didn't want that. I didn't want that. No, no, thank you. And this was my excuse to honestly save more, because I was like, at this point, I care more my hard work than anything. Like my success, my bag. You ain't gonna stop my bag for some eggplant that's not even that good. Honestly, it wasn't good. I've had much better from much smaller. Oh my god. So, yes, I am being a little petty, but it's true. I can't lie to you. It's true. I wasn't happy, and that's why I didn't want to do it, because it wasn't good. And I know that has nothing to do with like your ability to be good and bad. It's just more like maybe he didn't fit me properly in that way. Like down there, I don't fit his needs or like the same. There's certain size or certain like. It just didn't work, honey. It's okay. You can try with someone else, but. And that's also part of the lying. Like he would always say at the beginning, "Oh, I loved it. I enjoyed it so much," and then near the end, he would always say like, "Oh, it hurt. I don't know what's wrong. My thing always hurts after doing it with you." I'm like, he made me feel like a rag, like a wet, useless rag. And then even his friend was gaslighting me. He was like, "Yeah, your voice sounds like a little bit monotonous, but it's okay. Like and you're very quiet. You talk so softly." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Like he had the most toxic friends. Like there was even this other toxic friend that like they were both very toxic to each other. Like he was calling him negative, talking trash behind his back. So I'm like, this person has no genuine, real like connections, and I felt sorry for him. I'm like, oh my god, I almost don't blame you for going back to your ex, because you literally have nothing in your future because you're this way. Seriously, unless you change, unless you choose to change, you're gonna keep attracting this crap. So, you know, I learned a lot from this person. I learned how not to be, how to treat people. And you know what? If you can't treat them with respect and love, don't meet up with them at all. You know, I'd rather be alone to myself than being with, honestly, with someone like this ever again. So, yeah, we traveled so much in Mexico. Like, we went up and down mountains. Oh my god, like, I lost count how many places in Mexico we went on top of that. Like, I'm the type of person very leisurely lazy. I want to just enjoy being in one place the whole time. No, we went to, like, I don't know. I was so tired, and it wasn't even that special or impressive. Like, it wasn't like the coastline oceans of Mexico, and we were originally supposed to do that near Oaxaca, but we never went. It was always like, oh yeah, didn't I tell you where we were supposed to go? You don't remember. You never remember anything I tell you. And I'm like, but you change your mind like a woman every 5 seconds. It's an expression. It's an old expression. That's not derogatory to women. That's just like something we used to say back in the day. Like, oh, you know, like change your mind like a woman. Like a woman has the right to change her mind if she wants to, if she so pleases. That's where I get that expression from, that phrase from. But you know, guys, gaslighting the F up, like, it was so bad. It was, like, looking back, I feel sorry for myself. I was very foolish. I wasn't smart. I didn't use that 135 IQ for crap, because, like, I let him use me, and he's just such a loser. Oh my god. So, like, aren't you, like, 36, like, you're supposed to be spending your time wisely, with, like, you know, and spending your money wisely. You're supposed to save for retirement, and then you'd always complain that you left your job or whatever at NASA because you wanted to live this bad bougie lifestyle, and you want to go back because you're seeing your family's rich and you're broke. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, you don't see why you're the way you are because of your actions. How about you take accountability for yourself before telling other people to take accountability for their lives? Boom, I said it. So, I didn't say it to him, but yeah, I said it just now, didn't I? No mercy. No mercy. I show my teeth if you try to mess with me. So, there you have it, guys. So after Mexico, I saw who this person really was. You don't know them until you spend time with them. There was one day we got really sick. It was first me, and then I got sick, and then his friend got sick, and his friend's friend got sick too. Because of this thing we got in our stomach, it made us have like really hard time. Like, I went to the bathroom like 100 times probably in a few days. whatever, because it was just tap water. They say don't drink the water, like close your mouth in the shower, But yeah, and it sucked because it was such a beautiful house, a big house in a mountain in like the middle of nowhere, in like the middle of the heart of Mexico, literally. We were 10,000 feet in the air. It was beautiful, but I was sick the whole time. And like even when I went to the doctors and I had the IV in my arm, couldn't move, and I was so weak, and I asked him to call my mother for me. He's like, you want me to call your mother for you? Like, oh my god, I just want to slap him in the face right then and there. And so yeah, so that shows you what kind of person they are. And then when he got sick and I told him to go to the doctors, no, I have to do what he says, but not when I say him again. So it's like, oh my god. And then I end up having to get medication to help alleviate this discomfort, and then I make it go away. And then he ended up stealing from my prescription. I'm like, but they didn't prescribe that to you. And he's like, no, it's a cam. I'm trying to make it go away. I'm like, why didn't you just go to the doctors, get another one? So I'm like, whatever, man. So we had to get a refill just because he took from me, and I'm like, whatever. I guess it was okay because he had the same problem I did, and it helped him, but it took him longer because he didn't get the IV in the proper dosage. So they also gave me an antibiotic right then and there as well in the IV, so it helped. And then there was this old lady there that really helped us. Like, she was a godsend angel. She was kind of like our maid or cleaning lady or cook or chef or whatever, and we tipped her very well after. But like, he would even lie to her and like not tell her that he was sick too, and she was helping me get through, and he would still eat his spicy food and drink his coffee. And I'm like, you dummy, you're gonna get even worse now in your stomach because you're lying to this poor lady who's trying to help you. And I yelled at him. At that point I snapped. I had enough. I yelled at him in front of her, and he was like quiet as a mouse. You know what's funny? He'd always call me rat, and now I look back and I realize like he was just demeaning me, making me feel less worthy or less valuable, because like a rat, like you don't call someone a rat unless they're a rat. You know what I'm saying? So like a sewer rat, like he just treated me like that pretty much. Was just the irony of me calling that. Even when I told my brother that, he was like, why is he calling you a rat? That's very demeaning. I'm like, well, I didn't see it at the time, but now it makes sense. And I thought it was cute, like a mouse, because he said I have a cute button nose, whatever, like a dog. And my chihuahua reminded him of a rat's nose. But like, he even bought like a rat head mask for me. He's like, I want to buy you a puppy mask. I'm like, this is getting really weird. So it was kind of like his thing. Also part of like, disgusting. So I'm not into that stuff. I'm sorry. No judgment if you are, but like looking back, I'm grossed out because like to realize the whole time he was calling me that because it was meant to like diminish me and make me feel less than. Like I was played basically like a jester, like a fool, like a clown. Like looking back, I felt like I should have, before I left to go to his house every night, I should have put like red eyes, lipstick, like a colorful rainbow hair, like a white paint face. Like I should have done that because I was played like the clown emoji. So yeah, guys, be wise when you do relationships, okay? So I basically barely talked to him for a week. I don't see him for a whole week after we got back from Mexico. By the way, the 4-hour drive that it took to get to the mountains, like 10,000 feet where we got sick, and the 4-hour drive back, the whole 4-hour drive home, not even a word to each other. Like, what's the point of being with someone if there's not much to say? And they're always like in this bitter attitude, and then they're calling me like prideful and bitter, like I have a chip on my shoulder. I'm like, are you kidding me? Oh my god. So basically I spent a whole week not seeing them, and then he's like, do you want to come over dinner with my friends? He makes it seem like, oh yeah, he has to invite me over. I'm like, don't act like you don't know me. We just spent a whole month in Mexico together, and now you're inviting me a week later when you didn't even invite me for a whole week. And he's like, yeah, I need my alone time. One day in Mexico, he yelled at me because I woke up like 5 in the morning to tell him I was sick, I was not feeling well, and he was in the other room, and he's like, oh, leave me alone, and he just was like slamming the door and wanted to be to himself. And I'm like, what the heck is wrong with this guy? Is he like neurotic or something? So like, yeah, I was like, I'm so done with this guy. That was the point. I realized like, I'm done with this guy officially, permanently. And then he comes out of the room like nothing happened 40 minutes later, and he's like, yeah, I'm okay now. Okay, so if I do that to you, how do you think your reaction would be? Exactly. So it's okay if you do it. It's not okay if I do it. I just have to be fake Barbie doll and nice, play nice with you the whole time, or you'll throw me away like the other Barbie dolls you threw away. And that's why I saw visions of him like pushing someone off a mountain cliff. And that's why I was paranoid to even go to like the first trips with him, like in Puerto Rico or like Mexico, because it was always like on cliffs, like mountainsides. I felt like maybe he did that. I'm not saying, but like maybe he did that to someone. I don't know. I don't trust him at this point, and I lost total trust, but again, I could be wrong. Vision maybe is trying to say like, maybe that's like exposing a side of him. I'm not here to like accuse someone. Obviously, I'm not here to say like they did that, but like that's just my vision. Obviously, it's my interpretation. It's like visions are more like metaphor for something you're trying to see. So obviously, it's not something he may or may not have done. I don't know, but it scared me and it made me feel even more like butterflies in my gut in a bad way. And so yeah, there's even like a profile picture of him holding something up, and it's just really creepy and eerie, and I'm just like, ugh, like this guy is all red flags. Horrible. I hope he moves. I hope he sells his house and moves. I don't want him to be here in this area. Like, ugh. His energy was just so off after a while, and he looked like more tired and more like aggravated with time, and like he started like making less money in his job, and he was like really considering changing careers. And I'm like, like he was always adding the stress to me and like the relationship, and it was just, I'm like, this is not gonna work. I can't be with a person like this, and they're still spending all their money like that. It didn't make sense to me. So very irresponsible with money. I don't like. My partner needs to be very responsible financially and like secure, not someone so unstable and almost 40. Like, get out of here with that nonsense. It's okay if you are, but like when it comes to like dating me, that's my needs, my standards, my boundary specifically. He also lied. He was saying like he made like $250,000 a year, and then he was like, "Are you joking? I don't even like barely make like 150." I'm like, so another red flag. It's like, oh yeah, I just made that when I sold a condo. Like, why didn't you tell me that at the beginning? You made it seem like you had all this stuff, and you made it seem very impressive. And I'm like, oh my god. And he would always have packages come to his door. Like, that was a red flag for me. Like, oh, big spender, And it was always nice, expensive things worth hundreds of dollars. I'm like, oh my god, like crystals and stuff. It's like, how much crap can a person have in their house? Really? And then one day, I kind of like, I didn't expect this to happen, but I guess I was just really so done with him. Like, I wanted to go to this one spiritual shop, and we all ended up going there, and I ended up buying nothing. Like, that was my way of saying, like, F you. Like, I'm not like you buying all this stuff I don't need. And I was just like, I have so much crap in my house. I don't need another thing. I mean, like, what, the average American has like 300,000 things in their house. Like, do you really need a 301,000th thing? No. Okay. In fact, you should probably sell some of that stuff, right? Like, we don't need that much crap. We're so spoiled and entitled in this generation. So anyway, the trip's over. I go over to the house, and then he's like, oh yeah, we're having a nice dinner, and it ends up being like $27 chicken wings. I'm like, for like four people. So it was like $6-7 a meal. It's like, it was the most cheapest crap I've ever seen. I'm like, you saying it's gonna be a nice, fancy, expensive dinner, and then you like serve us this, like, really, like, we come all this way, like, put on a nice clothing or two, and then you just like, I was like, he didn't give me eye contact a single time during that, and then he was pulling aside that friend of his friends, and I was like, can I come with you guys? He's like, no, you just sit there. Who knows what they did? They probably made out behind the trees, the bushes. I don't trust him. Like, he probably did that. But I'm like, at this point, I didn't care. I was watching like Family Guy or some stupid show. I don't know. They always watch TV and Netflix and shows. Like, I never watch TV. I never watch shows all day. Like, that's all you would do. I was so bored. I'm like, yeah, this is not it. Like, sometimes he'd fall asleep on me, and like, it just reminded me of past relationships. Like, I don't need you if you're gonna I'm gonna come all this way, drive all this way. You only went to my house like 2 times, and I went to his house like 100 times. It's like hundreds of times. So, like, even his friend, like, he'd do the same to his friend. His friend, he'd openly admit to me, like, yeah, he'd never go to his house, but he'd always make him go to his house. What kind of a person is that? Why is it always the people like that that have the most friends in their life? I don't know. And then his friend ended up blocking him, and then wondering why he blocked him. Of course, because you're a jerk. You're an A-S-S-H-O-L-E. rejected so many people. He probably would have been a jerk too. I should have been just like living my life, like enjoying. Oh my god, I was so stupid. But anyway, whatever. That's God's difficult path. Jesus had to carry a heavy cross, right? So guess what happened? So now I'm getting to my point. Not even 24 hours. I'm laughing about it now because I was so stupid. Not even, you guys, poopsies, 24 hours after that dinner with me, him, and his 2 friends, his ex-boyfriend, the guy he was with before me for 7 months, Instagram DMs. I don't know. I'm on YouTube, so at this point, guys, I'm not surprised. People have recognized me in the store. Everywhere I went, people have messaged me when I didn't know that they were, and then they're just like they knew me from school, and then they found my like Facebook or something, and they messaged me. Okay, I'm not surprised. Okay, he found me some way. I have no idea. Maybe he watched my videos. At this point, guys, I've been on dating sites. People every time I'm on dating sites multiple times tell me they know me from my videos. They can't believe I'm on this site. Okay, I'm not surprised anymore. But it was surprising, like, that it got to the point where even his ex knew, I guess, about my channel. I found out some way, and was showing me screenshots of the messages between him and him. And it was hurtful to read. I was, mind you, just got out of the store driving to my mother's house while this is happening. And I'm in shock, and I'm driving, and I'm trying not to like crash my car on the side of the road because I'm so in shock and heartbroken. And then I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Then I realize it's a blessing. This is the way for me to break up with him. Finally, God. Thank you. Thank you, God. My prayers were answered. And I didn't tell you guys this, but like halfway through the relationship, March, April, I even started like visualizing other men, like wanting to be with other men, manifesting that already. Like I already saw like a future husband, like stuff like that. And I'm like, oh God, I felt guilty and sinful. I was like, Lord, forgive me for having these impure thoughts. It was like, no, dude, like I'm trying to show you your future, man. You're supposed to get out of this one. So, yeah, like I was even tempted to like cheat to myself. And then I realized, oh, I had these feelings because that's actually what he was doing. I think he cheated me maybe up to 5, 6, 7 times during the relationship. I think so. I think he's a serial cheater. I had visions of it, dreams. I'm not stupid, you know. It's not just this one man. I think he did on the cruise. I think he did several times in Mexico and Puerto Rico. Several times. I wouldn't be surprised. So it's just my opinion. It's all allegedly. But yes, still was wrong that he was. Then the ex tells me he did it with him the day before Valentine's Day, and then he told me that now he's just been messaging me since the dinner last night. So he was messaging him in front of my face at dinner a week after our month-long trip to Mexico. And it would always be after the big trip. After Puerto Rico, cheat. After Mexico, cheat. Sick. So, yes, he needs help. He needs a serious counselor, a serious therapist. He needs to spend time alone. He needs to rearrange his priorities and be a man and be grown, because it's not cute. Like vomit emoji. Like if you're 37 and still cheating, that is not cute, honey. Like that is not, like that made him look so ugly. Like that wiped his beauty away. And it's very sad and a shame, because when he is old and ugly, which we're all gonna get old and ugly, surgery or not, he's gonna regret it and look back on his life and realize he messed up big time. And I treated him nothing with respect and love and kindness at the time, but I was mistreated poorly, and he's never gonna find someone like me. Good luck with that. So even his ex, I had a bad feeling. I had the respect and the decency to at least to be courageous to video chat the ex and say, look man, you can have him. You were with him longer than me. He was with him like 11 months. And then later, that's how I found out he lied to me about the dates and the timing. And then later, I should have done my research before even bothering to date this guy, but I should have looked up his Facebook. It was just that easy. I could have done it. There were pictures of them together, hanging out literally a week before he was with me. So I should have seen the signs. I should have checked his Twitter. It was like red flag, red flag, red flag. So he deletes his whole YouTube channel, all his videos gone, because he thinks I'm gonna like expose him or something, which I would never do, obviously. But like, I don't talk about people by name on here. I never do. It's all just like, hey, I could even be telling a totally fake story you don't even know because you don't know this person. So there you go. There's no way you will ever find out. So yeah, I basically was telling him, yeah, you can have him, and he's like, no, I don't want to be with him. Lie. And I just felt like he was also like a narc or something, you know what I'm saying? Like, he had the same traits. Even just talking to him, like, I would say something serious and he would just laugh. And then like I would like start crying, and then he would like start fake crying. There were no tears. There were no tears, honey. I don't know what you were wiping on your face, maybe the fakeness, but there were no tears on that face. So I knew, I was like, oh, they're perfect for each other. They're a perfect match. So I'm like, you know what, they can have each other, and they can claw each other's eyes out for all I care. Because yeah, when I saw the screenshots, he showed me more screenshots. They were doing nothing but arguing to each other. So I'm like, yeah, this is not healthy or cute. You know what, they can have each other. So, and he kept saying like, it's not my fault. He was the one cheating. I had no idea he was with you. Really? Oh, really? Really? Yet you did the research to find me, and you couldn't see his Twitter and see that we had pictures together. That's cute. So yeah, he never took accountability. The ex, he was always like, yeah, it wasn't my fault. I'm sorry this happened, but like, I was just in the middle of this lie. And so I tried to be nice and be his friend, but it didn't work. I was like kind of secretly wanting to meet up with him so I could still be friends with this ex, but it never worked. And that's when the friend like would ignore my messages, and then like every time I tried to reach out, and they would always be like no response, or very brief or short. At least the ex bothered to respond, but like it would never go anywhere. He's like, I'm also an ex too, and I'm like, why should I take his feelings into account when he did what he did? You know, it doesn't sit right. Like, if you had a partner and you were making friends with the person that they cheated on you with, would you? No, right? And I was kind enough to, but then I thought, I'm only doing this just to be friends with my ex, because that's what I wanted since the beginning. I just wanted to stay friends with him and travel buddies, which not anymore travel buddies. And then what the red flag was, I finally told him before, in the airport, before we flew back home from Mexico, I said, dude, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I can't afford it. I'm gonna go broke if I keep spending like this. And he just like, nothing. He didn't say anything, cold, silent. And then you could see his agitation start, and he started to like ventilate to like the cashier. He was like a super ultra Karen. This boyfriend of mine was, oh my gosh, he was such a Karen. And it was sad, really. And you always complain about things to like the manager or something. Like it was just horrible. Like, I just want to have a good time. He's just always finding an excuse to complain or something. Like, we like rented obviously one of the nicest rooms, and he's just complaining about the traffic noise, the construction noise. There was like a little puke or something on the chair. Like, he always finds something to just. And then he's calling me negative because one day we sat down to talk about like finances, what to purchase and stuff, and that condo he sold was now being on the market again, but it was like way more expensive, like 3 times the price, because the market at the time was at its peak. And I was like, yeah, maybe this is not the wise idea. He's like, what if you move in there with me seasonally? I'm like, I don't know how it would work with work. I'd have to come back home on the boat and film, and I can't just have my dog there because dogs aren't allowed. So how could I keep going back and forth? And I kept questioning him, and he's like, you're so negative. Oh my god. And he just got up and walked away. I'm like, dude, like, you can't change who I am. I'm not negative. I'm realistic. I'm a very positive person, but I just, when I see bullcrap, I am gonna say it, right? I'm not gonna like make a decision like this is invest half my money to like buy a property that I don't want, you know? So obviously we didn't match in line with those values. So I think once I told him I'm done traveling the rest of the year, that got in his darn nerves, didn't it? Because now then he canceled the July trip to the mountains in Georgia, and then we were supposed to plan another trip in September, which is happening soon, with where we were supposed to be with his family for the week and being like at Cape Cod and then New York. But I'm glad I didn't go, because I don't want to spend money to go there, obviously, and I don't care for New York, really. But yes, so again, I always did things just for him, just to make him happy, and because I just really wanted him to be happy the whole time. But now I need to take care of my happiness and not neglect my own needs. So it was a valuable lesson in that. So, basically, the ex was like, your boyfriend's breaking up with you. So, he was like, yeah, so I now my ex is telling me that, that it's over. I can't take it anymore. I'm gonna be out of town. And he ends up driving all the way to the place in the mountains in Georgia. By himself. Maybe he went with his ex, I don't know. See how toxic it is? He canceled that same trip and he went by himself out of spite because I broke up with him. And then I find out weeks later they're actually trying to get back together. I was right. I knew it. You can't lie to me. He said he was acting and pretending like that wouldn't happen. Of course it happened. Of course. Oh, those kind of people can't bear to spend time alone. Can they? No, they have to immediately get to their next target for their supply. I'm not stupid, so I'm not born yesterday. So I was like, alright, good luck with that. So I felt bad for this kid. I felt bad, like, he does not make nearly as much as him. He's gonna use him for all his money. Oh, and I warned him. I told him, watch your finances. Watch out. Watch out. Oh, he's like, oh, I didn't even realize. Thank you for warning me. Oh, you dummy. Anyway, so it might have been a different story if I knew this guy longer than the ex, but because the ex knew him longer than me, I have no right to keep that relationship. Who am I to keep that relationship going? 11 months beats 7 months. You can have him. I'm not gonna lie, the guy was very attractive, okay? But, is it really worth it? Like, I don't know, guys. I don't know. They broke up for a reason. He said he couldn't stand his job. He couldn't stand also the way he was being treated. Yet a lot of stuff. He knew him. I knew him. Good luck. Good luck. I wish them well, but I hope he changes. That's the biggest joke of lie of hope, because I know people don't change. He's gonna lie to the poor guy. I'm so worried. He's gonna lie to the poor guy, but it's not my problem anymore. I told him even that he promised to change his career. He never did, so I warned him about everything. But that's that. I'll leave it there. I told him, like, if he cheated on me, he's gonna cheat on you. Like, I said everything, and he agreed, and it was nothing but fair and kind with love, and I didn't want to argue and call this guy out. I just left it there. I wanted nothing but peace, and then I ended up blocking them. So, guys, that's basically what happened. I think I'm done with this story time. I know I made it like 2 hours long, but I believe I spoke my inner truth and what felt right just now to talk about. I believe there was one more point I was missing, but honestly, so much happened I don't even remember at this point. Oh yeah, I forgot some of my things at his house, and so I had to, like, text him several times to get him to respond to me to get my stuff back, and he basically ignored me, and I was like, okay, I'm on the way, and then he obviously replied to my message and said okay, and then he gave me my stuff. I gave him his stuff, and we never really much spoke after that again. I tried to, and I told the ex to maybe try to get him to text me more, but it's like when you force yourself into someone's life, it's not gonna work. So I ended up blocking him. I had called him a coward, and I just blocked him, because that's what he is. That's like one word to describe him: coward. Looking back, it's just always hiding, always in hiding, doing things, lying behind back, cheating, trying to steal people's hearts because he has none, because he was not given any. So, yeah. Even after all this I said, read someone to filth, spilled its piping-hot tea, I still, to this day, wish him peace, because he clearly doesn't have it, and, from someone who does have peace in their life now, and doesn't have those same desires and suffering, I would want someone to be in peace, because clearly they're in so much pain inside them that they're torn and they don't know what's best for them. But from an outside observing perspective, you have a general idea, especially when you're their partner at the time. You pretty much know them to a T. listen to you and always discredit you and think you're wrong or crazy. There's no helping a person like that. They're a lost soul and a lost cause. And, I just hope they figure it out before they reincarnate, because that's a tough one. If you have to really repeat the lessons, it only gets worse. So, yeah, not saying I have all the answers, but like on a spiritual plane, like, that's a tough one, and that's tough karma to deal with for what he did. So, yikes. Thank you guys. God bless you. I hope this was entertaining at the very least. And I will see you next time.